Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're exploring something really foundational, I think, this idea called liminal thinking.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. We're drawing mainly from Dave Gray's work here.
Right, and he argues pretty convincingly that the real leverage for change isn't out there somewhere. It's actually about understanding the edges, the borders of your own thinking.
Exactly. And that word liminal comes from Latin lamen, means threshold or border or edge.
Okay.
So liminal thinking is, it's really about psychological agility. This is art almost of understanding your beliefs, shaping them, maybe reframing them so you can navigate change.
So the mission for you listening is, let's figure out how beliefs get built, why we hang on to them so tightly.
Mhm.
And then, crucially, what are the actual steps, the practices you can use to step over that threshold,
Mhm.
to actually influence things in your own life or maybe even in bigger systems?
And the power of hitting that threshold.
Yeah.
He has this great personal story. He was a smoker.
Yeah.
So he really wanted to quit.
Tried lots of times.
Oh, yeah. Failed repeatedly.
Yeah.
And he genuinely, deeply believed it was impossible. Like, for him specifically, it just couldn't be done.
Ah, the classic I can't believe.
Yeah.
So powerful.
Totally. He was trapped. But then one day, he's sick, coughing, feeling awful, and just impulsively stops.
Just like that.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And quitting was huge, obviously. But the really interesting part is what happened after.
Okay.
That act, doing the thing he thought was impossible, it gave him this massive boost of confidence. It shifted something fundamental about who he thought he was.
Like a core identity rewrite.
Exactly. This new belief, wow, I can do impossible things, it became like fuel. He ended a relationship that wasn't right. He changed jobs, then changed entire industries, started his own business.
Whoa, all from quitting smoking?
Well, from changing the belief about himself that quitting smoking represented, it unlocked everything else. It shows how powerful these underlying beliefs really are.
Okay, that definitely sets the stage. So let's get into the mechanics. Part 1, the theory. How do these beliefs actually work?
Right. Principle 1 is foundational. Beliefs are imperfect models. This is key.
They're not reality itself.
Not at all. Reality is way too complex, probably unknowable in its entirety. Beliefs are just. They're maps. Necessary maps, sure, but imperfect ones we use to get around. Tools, not truth.
Got it. Like the old story, the blind man and the elephant.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Each guy touches one part, a leg, the trunk, the tail.
And thinks that part is the whole elephant. The tail guy thinks an elephant is like a rope.
Exactly. And we all do that. We grab onto our little piece of subjective experience, our map, and we mistake it for the actual territory, which,
Yeah.
of course, leads to conflict.
Right, like arguing over a news article because we're starting from completely different maps, different beliefs about the world.
Precisely. So if they're just models, Principle 2 asks, how are they constructed?
Okay, how does that happen? Is it conscious?
Mostly not, actually. It's built up, sort of layer by layer, almost automatically. Think of it like a pyramid.
A pyramid of belief.
Kinda, yeah. It starts at the bottom with raw experience.
Yeah.
But even that is just a tiny fraction of what's out there. Then comes selective attention. This is wild.
Okay.
Your brain perceives something like 11 million bits of information per second. But your conscious mind, it filters that down to about 40 bits.
Wait, 40 bits per second out of 11 million.
Yeah. Staggering, isn't it? We filter almost everything out, focusing only on what seems immediately relevant to our needs right now.
Oh. Okay, so that tiny sliver of data, that's the foundation.
That's the foundation for the next layers. Your theories, your judgments about what that data means. And then on top of that rests the belief itself.
So the takeaway is what seems totally obvious to me. Well, I actually built that obviousness myself based on almost nothing.
Pretty much. It's constructed, not given. Which leads to Principle 3. Beliefs create a shared world.
Ah, okay. We need them to agree on things, to function together. Social agreements, rules of the road.
Exactly. And this gets reinforced through what Gray calls the learning loop. You have a need, right, like hunger, that leads to a belief or rule for action. Eating food satisfies hunger. You act, you eat, you get a result, hunger gone.
And that result reinforces the rule, makes sense. It creates habits.
Right. But this loop can go wrong. It can become a doom loop, a vicious cycle.
How so?
Think about a rescue dog, maybe one called Spitfire in the book. It bites the owner's kid when the kid goes near its food bowl.
Okay, not good.
The dog's belief might be something like, I have to aggressively protect valuable things. The biting action reinforces that protective, maybe fearful belief.
And the owner's reaction matters too, right? If they punish the dog.
Then the owner might form a belief. This dog is dangerous, a problem. Their actions based on that belief punishment, maybe avoidance, could actually reinforce the dog's original fear and need to protect. Downward spiral.
The doom loop. But you can flip that.
Yes, into a delight loop, a virtuous cycle. The owners need to change their belief first. Maybe to, he's scared, but he's smart and can learn.
So change the story they tell themselves about the dog.
Exactly. Then change the action. Maybe every time another dog appears, a potential threat, they give Spitfire a treat. The dog starts associating other dogs not with threat, but with good things.
So you're actively changing the dog's belief by changing the inputs and the results. You're co-creating a better story, a better shared reality.
That's the power. Changing the story web changes the reality.
Yeah.
But once we have these constructed worlds, these beliefs, our minds work really hard to protect them.
Okay, the defense mechanisms, what are those?
Principles 4 and 5 cover this. Principle 4, beliefs create blind spots. They guide us, but they also fence us in, creating artificial limits we often don't even see.
Like Gray thinking he needed a master's degree to teach. Someone told him that, it became a rule, a belief.
Right. A limiting belief. It created a blind spot. The possibility of just applying without it didn't even seem like an option until he deliberately tested it. And it turned out to be false. The constraint wasn't real.
We box ourselves in without realizing it.
All the time. And principle 5 is maybe the strongest defense. Beliefs defend themselves using what's called self-sealing logic.
Self-sealing. Like a bubble.
Exactly like a bubble. It protects our sense of coherence, our identity. We unconsciously twist information to fit inside the bubble.
The example of the Detroit auto execs in Toyota is pretty damning, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. 15 years.
Yeah.
Toyota's just crushing them on productivity. First, the exec said, their numbers must be fake.
Denial. Stage 1.
Right. Then, when the numbers were clearly real, they said, oh, well, that's just unique Japanese culture. Wa nemawashi. You can't do that here.
Excuses, finding reasons within their bubble why it didn't apply to them.
Exactly. They kept moving the goalposts.
Mm-hmm.
Even when Toyota built plants in the U.S. with American workers achieving the same results, the Detroit folks still focused only on superficial things, like factory layout.
They avoided the core issue for years.
Until they finally had to admit it. Toyota operated on a fundamentally different and better set of beliefs about what employees were capable of.
It's incredible. It shows that we rarely test if an idea works in the real world if it doesn't first make sense inside our heads, inside that bubble.
That internal coherence trumps external validity way too often. And that ties into the final principle, number 6. Beliefs are tied to identity.
Especially the big ones, the core ones.
The governing beliefs, yeah. They're tangled up with our sense of self-worth. Challenging them feels dangerous, like a personal attack.
Like that Uber driver example, John. Sharing really complex, maybe kind of out there conspiracy theories.
Yeah, using those theories to explain why his business wasn't doing well. It wasn't his fault. See, it was these big hidden forces.
So the belief, most people don't understand what's really going on, but I do, filled an emotional need. It protected his identity from feeling like a failure.
Precisely. It gave him a sense of control, of importance, even if the explanation itself was convoluted.
Yeah.
Challenging those core identity beliefs. That often triggers really strong reactions. Anger, defensiveness, maybe even getting kicked out of the group if it's a shared belief.
Because you're not just questioning facts, you're threatening someone's sense of self, their place in the world.
Wow. It's deep stuff.
Okay, so that's the theory. Beliefs are models. Constructed, shared, defended, and tied to who we are. Powerful framework. But now, the crucial part. How do we actually use this? How do we create change?
Right. Part 2. The practices. How do we minimize the distortion and actually shift things? We picked 4 key action steps.
Let's dive in. Action step 1.
Assume you are not objective. This is non-negotiable. You have to straight here.
Because if you're part of the system, you want to change.
You are inevitably part of the problem. You have blind spots, things others see about you that you just don't.
Like the Johari window idea, that blind spot quadrant.
Exactly. Think about the manager who complains, my team never tells me the bad news.
Yeah.
He might be completely blind to the fact that his reaction, maybe shooting the messenger in the past, is the very reason they hide things now. He doesn't see his own contribution.
So, first step, humility. Assume you're missing something about yourself.
Yes. Which leads nicely into action step 2. Empty your cup.
Ah, the Zen concept, beginner's mind.
Right. You can't pour new tea into a cup that's already full. You can't learn new things if you're clinging tightly to all your old opinions and assumptions.
Isn't there a story about that? A professor visiting a Zen master?
The classic one. The master keeps pouring tea, and it overflows the cup. The professor says, "Stop, it's full." And the master replies, "Like this cup, you are full of your own opinions. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup?"
You have to make space for the new. Suspend judgment, at least for a while.
It's why turnaround consultants, like this guy Mick Calder mentioned in the book, can succeed where insiders fail. Calder goes into failing companies and just listens. He empties his cup.
Because the insiders are trapped by the old beliefs that led to the failure in the first place.
Exactly. They can't see the new patterns because their cups are full of the old ones.
Makes sense. Okay, action step 3.
Triangulate and validate. Look at things from multiple angles.
Don't just trust your one perspective.
Never. If something doesn't quite make sense to you, if it feels off, that's a signal. You're missing a crucial piece of the puzzle, another viewpoint.
And you need to test your understanding, right? Not just assume it's right.
Critically important.
Yeah.
Like Karl Popper said, a good theory has to be falsifiable. It has to make a prediction that could actually turn out to be wrong.
Otherwise, it's like a horoscope so vague it explains everything and nothing.
Right. You need to actively seek out data or perspectives that could disprove your current belief. The example of Roy Adams, the military strategist in Iraq, is perfect.
What happened there?
His team was planning based entirely on the official political maps, the administrative boundaries. Things weren't working as expected. Patterns of resistance didn't make sense.
Okay.
Then someone had the idea to overlay a different map, one showing the historical tribal boundaries. Suddenly, boom, the patterns clicked into place. Neither map alone told the whole story. It was the triangulation combining those different perspectives that provided the actual insight. He had to validate his initial model against a different one.
Crucial. Okay, brings us to the final action step we're highlighting. Action step 4.
Act as if in the here and now. This one is really powerful. It's about prototyping a different reality.
Acting as if. As if what?
As if the change you want has already happened, or as if the obstacle you think is there isn't. It's a way to directly challenge the underlying beliefs, including your own.
You don't have to fully believe it yet. Just act.
Just commit to the action. Like Jason Roberts, this IT guy in Dallas. He loved European cities, the public plazas where people gather. He wanted that in Dallas.
But faced bureaucracy.
Oh, yeah. Arcane city laws, like needing a $1,000 permit just to put a couple tables outside on the sidewalk, stuff that made plazas seem impossible.
So did he fight the laws?
No, that's the brilliant part. He and some friends did what they called a guerrilla pop-up urban scenario. They just did it. One weekend, they temporarily transformed a neglected block with plants, seating, a makeshift cafe, no permits, no asking permission.
What?
They acted as if those obstacles didn't exist. They created the reality they wanted, even if just for a short time. And crucially,
They showed people what was possible.
yes, they invited city council members down to see it in action, see how much people loved it. And the council members basically saw the proof and admitted, yeah, these rules are kind of imaginary, or at least outdated. We can change them.
That's fantastic. By acting as if, they revealed the limiting beliefs weren't real constraints after all. They prototyped a new shared reality.
Exactly. It's a way to test the boundaries by stepping right over them.
Okay, so we've gone from understanding beliefs as these imperfect maps, like the blind man with the elephant,
Right, through how they're built, defended, tied to identity.
to these practical steps. Assume you're not objective, empty your cup, triangulate, and maybe most powerfully, act as if the change is already here.
It's a journey of awareness and action. And maybe the final overarching practice, the one that ties it all together, is simply evolve yourself.
To change the world around you, you fundamentally have to be willing to change yourself first.
That's the core message. The biggest hurdles aren't usually external rules or other people. They're internal. They're fear. They're the constraints inside your own mind.
It takes courage. Like Chris Ortiz, the guy in the company with the strict unspoken dress code.
Yeah, the sea of white shirts and blue pants, quasi-military, right? But he wanted to be seen as the creative ideas guy, the problem solver. His clothes screamed conformist.
So what did he do? Stage a protest?
Nothing that dramatic. He just started wearing slightly different clothes. Still professional, but, maybe a colored shirt, different pants. And he started drawing fun, creative stuff on his whiteboard.
Small acts of nonconformity.
Tiny acts.
Yeah.
But it shifted how people perceived him. They started thinking, oh, Chris is the creative one. And when tough, complex problems came up.
They started going to him.
Exactly. His small personal evolution changed his identity within the system. and that gave him the platform to make bigger contributions. He changed himself to change his impact.
So as we wrap up, maybe we leave folks with one final thought, really focusing on that idea of shared reality from Principle 3.
Yeah, the power of narrative. It's not just a nice idea, there's neuroscience behind it. When people connect through story, their brains actually sync up. It's called neural coupling.
Wow. Stories literally wire people together.
They create shared meaning, social bonds.
Right.
Which means if you just throw facts and data at people, what happens?
They'll probably just fit those facts into their existing story, their existing belief bubble.
Right. It won't necessarily shift anything fundamental. Facts alone rarely change deep beliefs.
So the most effective way to actually help someone or a group cross the threshold into a new way of thinking, a new belief.
Isn't more data. It's a better story, a narrative that provides context, meaning maybe resonates emotionally.
A story that helps them see the possibility of a different map, a different reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the question for you listening is, what story will you tell to help evolve the shared world around you?